Streaming has begun, and I will record as a backup.
Good evening and welcome everyone to our sanitation monthly meeting. My name is Avril Francis. It is Tuesday, December 6th, and meeting is called at 7:04 p.m. Thank you for being here. I can see we have Roger is on the phone. Is it okay for me to call anyone by their first name? Let me know.
I'm good.
Okay, great. Thank you. Bernadette is here. Diana Finch is here. Gabriel is here. Roxanne, Debbie Junior Campbell, Henry's here, and Nicholas, who is going to be our guest tonight from DSNY. So we start. The meeting is called to order, and we are ready to move forward tonight. And I hope that we all come out to get answers and clarification and get some things clear that we would like to hear from sanitation tonight. So I'm going to start the meeting off by having our guest tonight introduce himself to everyone.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nick Ficaro. I'm the Assistant Director of Community Affairs for the Department of Sanitation. Thank you for having me. Happy to answer any questions. Jeremy had sent over some of the topics. He sent over the agenda. So I don't know if you want to just go one by one and we could kind of you could ask me questions about those specific topics that you had, like ASP and snow removal. And then the only thing I could say up front about the tree collection days is we don't have the day exactly final yet when it started. I spoke with the collections office. Probably next week we'll have the dates and we'll send out our email blast to all the boards, letting everybody know, but I don't have them finalized today. But you could probably expect similar time frame. It's usually the first week after New Year's, like January, like probably around that time, January 6th, and it runs for about 2 weeks. So that's probably what we could expect. But yeah, happy to, whichever topic you want to lead with, I'm happy to answer the questions.
Okay, well, I know one topic that I know Bernadette, then I'm starting with Bernadette because I know everyone is concerned about the alternate site parking. I think Bernadette, that came from
Okay.
you on Van Ness.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. So I would let her present it to you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have, my printouts so that I have a proper timeline and I'm speaking facts. Since May 10th that I was bringing it up when you first sent out the email with regards to restoring the pre-pandemic. So everybody, I'd say a lot of people, yes? A lot of people in Van Ness basically were basically discussing why are we going back to 4 days a week? We need 2 days a week. It was fine with the pandemic. I understand, since I've been on the board a very long time, that there is the sanitation does a survey to basically see how the streets are. But many times our streets are not clean because we have abandoned cars that and I have to say, can somebody mute Junior?
Junior, you have to mute yourself when you're speaking. Thank you. He did.
Thank you. So, this particular issue, most of the people are saying they don't want the 4 days a week. They want the 2 days a week. It is a burden on people because Van Ness is actually the oldest neighborhood that was established in the 1896 to 1925. So many of us don't have driveways. So street parking in the last 10 years has been very difficult. There are cars that are parked on sidewalks, in front of hydrants, in front of driveways, double park out. I mean, I could go on. And I'm one of those people that have to go and look for spots hopefully at some point before 7 o'clock for the next day, because we have it 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Now, if you have to go to work, you've got to be on that train by 8:25, 8:15 at 180th Street so that you can get to work or earlier. And if you don't get a spot the night before, those are the people that have to leave their cars and get ticketed. So it's a true burden. I could get so many signatures, but to be quite honest, I really don't have time to get signatures. And people will come and testify, etc. But this is an issue for the last 10 years. We have people from Parkchester that come and park in Van Nest. And it's been like that for the last 8 to 10 years. So it is a burden. It's something that for two years, we had the 2 days a week. Everybody was satisfied. There was no test from sanitation. There was no say, well, 2 days a week, the streets are not sanitary, they're not clean. So I just don't see why. Give me a process that I could make this happen. Telling me that you took a test and all this other stuff and taking pictures, it's unacceptable. So I don't know what else to say.
Sure. Just to clarify up front, we don't, hold on. Sanitation doesn't do the scorecard rating. So in terms of like the survey that you're probably referring to, where they grade the street cleanliness, that
Yes.
comes from the mayor's office of operations.
I have an email here that says that it came from sanitation. So, but go ahead.
Sanitation does not do the mayor's office of operations scorecard. It's completely, or else we'd give every street 100. We don't grade our own streets. So essentially, the process for requesting ASP reduction is it's the same as the implementation process, except there are other parameters. So basically, you have a public forum, you have a public vote, the community board makes the recommendation to sanitation. That's basically how it goes with reduction or implementation of new ASP. In terms of a reduction, local law 30 of 2011 requires essentially the community board can request a reduction if they've had 2 consecutive years of over a 90 scorecard. And then if you get granted the reduction, it's basically the mayor's office scorecard ratings come out if there's 3 consecutive months of under a 90 due to the reduction, that sanitation would have the right to review the reduction parameters. Now, I know that obviously everybody loved the ASP reduction during the pandemic, including myself in Astoria. Every single street is 2 times basically. And it's brutal finding a spot for your car on a regular basis. It's horrible.
You have 2 days a week, try 4.
Well, it's 2 days on each side of the street.
I got a question.
So, yeah.
How about the neighborhoods that have no alternate side at all?
Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
Because I live on Rylander from down the block from the 49th precinct, and the block in the back, Pelham Parkway, they have cars there for months, like
Yeah.
abandoned, and the leaves are so thick that nobody's cleaning this.
yeah,
Who,
I mean,
who oversees that?
My question.
what do you mean who oversees it? Like who oversees it?
Does the supervisor from sanitation driving his car? Because I've seen myself that the sweeper passes by on one side and it's worse than when they first started.
Yeah, if there's no regulations, they don't receive mechanical broom service because you only get street sweeping service where there are either like no parking regulations, where there's alternate side parking regulations.
All right.
If you don't have alternate side parking, you don't essentially get street sweeping service unless there are minimal instances where there might be an overnight broom. They call it an O route broom, where basically the route is like get to any open areas they can. They don't have they don't go back. They hit a lot of the major commercial strips, the known hotspots, and they're like, we know on the midnight to 8 shift, they might have more curbside access than they would in the dayline, but not every district has that. If you wanted to implement something there, you would have to go through that process like I had just outlined before, doing the public vote, asking to implement. But
You
if
could
there's nothing
you
there
could
currently, that
you could bring some of Bernadette's alternate side and put them over here. I'm happy with that.
Oh, I'd be glad. 2 days a week is enough. I have to say, Nick, I have my emails right here between Jeremy and myself. And the process that I have been asking since May 11th of this year. And I
Well,
was very clear. Let me speak. I was very clear about what my question was. And everything that you just said was never sent to me. We sent it to Vinnie Allard. We sent it to, and Jeremy was CCing the district superintendent. Vinnie, how does this below happen, or do you think the signage is needed? They were asking me what streets. I mean, it goes on, and nobody has said, well, this is the process. Back from May 10th, I think my questions are clear. Why is the Department of Sanitation not clear about their protocol when it goes to Community Board 11 about this?
Well, I can't speak to what the district superintendent said or whoever else you spoke with about what the
Email.
process is. I can only tell you what I know about the process and what
Can
local
you
law
talk to him?
3811 speaks
Can the
of.
right hand talk to the left hand and find out and help the community board actually
Well,
do things in the proper process?
Yeah, well, that's why I'm here tonight, to tell you the proper process. If the district superintendent doesn't have any obligation to call me up in community affairs and say, hey, Bernadette called me from CV 11. I gave her this answer. He doesn't give me a communication on every single day who
Well,
calls
then
me.
how does communication get to Community Board 11 and its board members when they're asking a question?
Like in this instance, like they wanted us to come to this meeting. Jeremy reached out directly to our office. We attended the meeting. He sent over the questions. I can't be responsible for what the district superintendent told you about the process for requesting ASP. Maybe he was misinformed. Maybe he didn't know the full picture. I can only tell you about what the process is. I've been dealing with this process for 7 years. I know what the process is for ASP reduction. This is what the process is.
Well,
I apologize. There is a confusion and maybe they didn't give you the full picture
confusion,
of what it is.
miscommunication.
Yeah, and I'm sorry that there was a miscommunication there, but that I'm just outlining what the process is.
Well, I'll make sure that whatever you send me, I will speak to Vinny and I'll say, you guys, we're on the community board for communication. We're trying to find ways to actually solve problems and taking an attitude like, well, I don't know why this, I mean, he's in your department. He's part of the DSNY. Why isn't there clarity when it goes to the community board so we don't find ourselves in confusion? I think that is just very, I guess frustrating to say it nicely. So
Yeah, I know. I wish he would have reached out if he was confused about the
how do I
process.
know he's confused if he's giving me stuff in emails that basically are telling me since May 10th, May 11th, back and forth between me and Jeremy and what, I mean, this is crazy. Sanitation is supposed to work with communities. I mean, you guys take away our trash cans. We in Van Nest, you guys have a great thing. We've had trash cans taken away and we can't get them back. And yeah, even by a school. I've been on the board since 2008, and within the first year on Van Nest and White Plains Road, all of a sudden it's like, well, sanitation decided that there's too much extra stuff going around and you took away 4 of our trash cans on a very high traffic stuff. And it's like sanitation is dictating our cleanliness in our communities. We're working hard. And we don't seem to have the cooperation. And I find it very disturbing that all we want is clarity about what process you want so that we can actually all be on the same page. I would appreciate what you said here today. Send it to Jeremy, ask him to copy it. I would have done it back in May 10th. I wouldn't be here today at this meeting.
Thank you so much, Bernadette.
I'm
I'd
sorry,
be happy to
hold,
send you the process.
hold on, Harry.
Nicholas, I got a question for you.
Can I,
Has this
am I
has this ever
muted?
happened before? The reduction of alternate side or no?
Yeah, we've worked with just here,
Like
actually, one
Bernadette
of the
has a
things.
good point, but from 4 days, has it ever been scaled down to two
Yes,
days?
yeah.
Okay, so
Well, what she's
at least we're
referring
not
to
beating a dead horse here.
well, she's referring to 4 days, but it is 2 days. So it's like Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday.
Yeah, but
That's
Just
we
one
have to
day,
move
or
our
just
cars
one
four
day,
days a week.
or one day,
yes,
just one day.
but what you're referring to is it's either one time a week or 2 times a week. But
One.
yes, there would be you would have to move the car essentially 4 times. Yes, but
Yes.
we did a pilot program, a pilot that worked really well actually in Astoria because they had originally, if you made a reduction to ASP, it would have to be district wide. A long time ago, that was like kind of the protocol. Which you can imagine there are a lot of streets that still do that might need 2 times a week, and some streets that only need 1 time a week. We tried a couple years ago in Astoria where they redid the routes. And we were able to add ASP in areas that really needed it. Then in areas where the scorecard was really high, they reduced it. And some of it went from 2 to 1, one went from 1 to 2, and some removed entirely. It's not completely unfeasible and out of the question. We would be, like I mentioned, we'd be happy to review the areas and see if it would qualify for a reduction and see where it could happen.
May I ask now, there is on the streets, you say, do they still do things district-wide, or has that been amended as far as part of the process?
No, yeah, it's not like a hard, fast rule of district wide.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
I also have a
Okay,
question on
I'm
that.
coming, Debbie. I'm coming to you. All right, so on Bernadette question, Nicholas, would it be something that you can now work with Bernadette and Jeremy since there was miscommunication? So would this be moving forward with you?
Yeah, I will send the whole
Okay.
outline of the process to make it very clear and, clarify any of the miscommunication that happened previously with the district super, and we could go from there. I'd be happy to send that over.
Could you also
All right.
send, can you also, I'm sorry, Bill, can you also send what's the process so that we get our trash cans back? We have no trash cans for almost 7 or 8 blocks.
You could just tell me where, right? You could just tell me where right now. You don't have to go through the process.
On Morris Park Avenue from from Fillmore Street to, I would say, Van Buren Street, that's 5 blocks. And we even have a bus stop over on one side on the MTA wall. And because people do not have it, the litter and the garbage and the dumping is horrendous, to say it nicely. We really don't have the kind of cleaning that we would like. So it goes, there's dumping. And also on the corner of White Plains Road and Van Est, we have PS 481, which is school there, and 3 other corners. Those were taken away maybe about 7 years ago and never put back. At least put it back where the bus stop is and the school is.
Thank you so much, Bernadette.
Thank you.
Okay, I know Debbie said she had a question.
Yeah, also, I'm looking for a reduction in my area too. I'm literally half a block away from no alternate to going to my area, which is what Bernadette and I consider 4-day. You consider it 2-day, but 2 and 2 is 4. I know on the opposite side of Pelham Parkway, they have 2-day, which you would call 1-day, and that's over by NYCHA and large development areas. So I was wondering why on this side, why can we not have the 2-day or 1-day put on to this side over like by Bronx House and that area of Pelham Parkway?
Nicholas, are you with us?
You obviously have to go through a process, Deb. the process that nobody knows and hopefully we'll get clarity on.
Is
Hope to get
Nicholas with
clarity, because I
us?
mean, it's DOT's even worse on things. I've been waiting for 4 years for things from them.
Yeah, I have things with DOT also, along with the NCOs that basically don't listen to the law.
I
But the
think
DOT commissioner,
I'm just making sure that Nicholas is hearing us.
okay, thank you,
I
Andrea.
don't see him, and I hope we didn't lose him.
Well, they had enough of this.
Well, we're here, and let me
Hopefully we're
see.
not too mean.
We wouldn't meet.
Okay.
We're just looking out for the community.
Yeah, but I don't think that it was
Oh.
mean enough to. Maybe
There's
he
a
got
there's
the last signal.
there's a
Sometimes you
lot
catch more
So
flies with honey.
there's a
yeah.
lot of streets around here that are dirty. That are dirty.
Okay, we'll
I
just
just saw a
wait and
notification. He left the meeting, so he might have dropped out of the call. I don't know
yeah,
Or
maybe
maybe,
if it's a
yeah.
connection issue or not.
yes. So we'll just give him time to come back. We have Roger here with us, and Harry, I know you stated something that me myself is concerned about. You asked one question about who is responsible when especially when the trucks, they say to move your vehicle for street cleaning, but then the trucks never come around
Yes.
Oh,
and the
yes,
streets
that
remain
yeah.
dirty. So you want to know who is responsible and who is going behind them to make sure this is get done. Because if you don't move your vehicle, they come down and they ticket you.
They don't even
And
do
you
that. They don't even do that.
Well, they're doing it around Van Ness, but it's sporadic.
Not here on Pelham Parkway in Stillwell. You can leave your car there for months, and when the alternate side comes, they still leave the car and they still give no tickets. Like this is no man land back here. This is no man land right here.
Okay, I think
He's rejoined.
yes.
Yeah, sorry, my internet just went out.
Yeah, figure. Well, thank you for coming back. We was just having a question that I needed to ask. When there is street cleaning, I have watched on Kruger and between Allerton going back to Burke. And I have watched where you move your vehicle for the street cleaning, but the truck never comes.
Hmm.
So the street cleaning is up, and the cars that are there um, move their vehicle, but then those that sit there get ticketed, but the truck never come around. So the ticketing people come around and give tickets because you didn't move your vehicle, but the truck never come and clean the street. So where do we go from there?
So you said that was Kruger from Allerton to Burke?
Allerton going back to Burke, I can definitely speak about. We have
Okay. I can have, this is something that has happened before. I can have the cleaning office monitor the routes. The supervisors are supposed to monitor the broom routes amongst doing other things. I can, let them know that this area has some incomplete routes and they can monitor and see if there's any issues with, I don't know, traffic or something that's causing them not to make it to complete the route. We have had instances where if it's at the end of the route, if there's challenges with traffic because the routes used to be 3 hours long, now they're an hour and a half. And they're the same distance. So it's like if there's any sort of issue, sometimes it could lead to a route being incomplete. But I'll ask them to monitor that area for a couple of ASP days and make sure that there's no issues moving forward. But I just
thank
wanted to
you.
quickly ask, because there was the litter basket, I cut off right in the middle of the litter baskets.
Yes.
So it was Morris Park from Fillmore to Van Buren.
Yes,
And
and then there was White Plains Road, perpendicular to Van Ness, the Four Corners. There's a bus, with those four corners, there's a bus stop there, a little farther up, and then there's a school, PS 481. And maybe if we can't get the four of them there, even getting two, one for the school and one on the side, when people are waiting for the bus. So, I mean, it's really terrible. I mean, when you see the litter everywhere and you understand not everybody's going to put it in a little bag and take it home and throw it away or wait till they get to another garbage. People are just going to throw it where it is. And that's what's been happening for quite a few years. And you know, just work really hard to keep our community clean, you know, so.
Okay,
Thank you,
I'll speak
Bernadette.
to the cleaning office
So,
about that as well. I'll make a push to see if we could at least get them
Okay.
out on like a pilot basis and see if there are those concerns they might have had about overflowing or whatever the reasoning was that they removed them in the first place, see if we could try and at least test them out there again, see if they'd be open.
I know what the reason why they did that is because people were putting their own garbage around.
Household stuff.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
and honestly, that means that, somebody has to use a bait or something to catch these people if they do it on the nights, you know, that we take out our garbage. And they would catch them. I don't, you know, I mean,
Hey,
there's no
Bernadette.
cameras. So,
Okay.
I'd like to,
so Nicholas, that
Abel,
means you
if you
didn't
don't
hear
mind, I know
anything I said?
Bernadette mentioned.
Hello. Two people were speaking. We're hearing
Nicholas,
Yahe and we're hearing Debbie. Yahe, were you speaking? Oh, I guess he probably was on mute. Roger,
Nicholas,
you
Just while Bernadette was talking about the trash, my internet is a little slow, so it's lagging. That's why I keep catching on to Debbie. But Bernadette mentioned by PS 481, and I just wanted to mention to Nicholas, Rhinelander and White Plains Road, if they can put two garbage cans there, one at the bus stop and one right across the street, that would help out also. Because I did this initiative with Mark Jonai, and 7 businesses in that area sponsored a trash can, but the program didn't last because the business owners um, just couldn't handle the responsibility of doing it. But so it only lasted a couple of months. So if we can get 2 trash cans, I know my former councilman Mark Jonai said it was a budget issue. That's why all those baskets were taken away.
Well, there could also be, you know, they allocated a lot more funding this past year for more litter basket service. So maybe some of those conditions that were overflowing, that might have caused by like lack of service, like not daily service. Now every litter basket basically has, essentially has daily service between their regular collection routes and the litter basket collection trucks. That might have been mitigated, so maybe they'd be more willing again to put some of those out, that were removed before. And no, Debbie, I did not. I cut out before you had spoke.
okay. Yeah, so what I was saying before, I'm also looking for reduction in service. I'm literally half a block from from the start of an area that has no alternate side to then just right in front of in front of my area, and then westward, I think it is. It's 4-day. We'll refer to it as 4-day and 2-day because Bernadette knows what I'm referring to. But my area, we're looking to go to having 2-day, you know, 1-day and 1-day on each side, because it's a lot of homeowners over in the area that's by Bronx House and stuff like that. So people are cleaning by their houses. So we're really looking for a reduction in service, because if you look on the other side of the Pelham Parkway by NYCHA and all that, they already have 2-day, you know, 1-day and 1-day, and their streets, you know, are done fine. So why can't we have a reduction in service on this side?
Yeah, I will send over, like I mentioned earlier, I'll send over like the outline of the process. And I'm sure it sounds like you said, you could get a lot of people that will push to approve it. And then, you know, the committee will submit something to us, like a resolution or a motion, and we'll go from there. The cleaning office will basically look at it, investigate it, and we'll see, then they'll make the decision.
Thank you so much. Roger, are you
Thank
with
you.
us?
can I ask one quick question? And then I'll mute myself. Is that possible? So whose responsibility is it, Nick, where, and this has happened for the last, since January. We have so many abandoned cars and for some reason they find right in front of my house for the last 6 or 7 months. I have no idea why, but these cars have been abandoned, and we have our NCOs basically saying that they can't tow them because of what contracts that they don't have. One, I still have one on Unionport Road that's been there since the end of August. And what happens is the street cleaners come, they don't come down if there's a
Yeah,
car there. It's not our fault. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really not our fault, and we really don't know what to do with this. The NCOs basically say, well, we can't do anything about it. So
Bernard, do they have a plate?
yes, most of the time they have plates. Yes.
That's how they make money. They leave it there and keep giving tickets into the city. They put a judgment on you.
Yep.
That's the way it's working now.
There's a lot of them also that are all booted. So,
Well, there's one, so sanitation handles vehicles that don't have plates, but also don't have value. So if, say it's like, a dealership car that they park in a neighborhood or like an auto body shop,
right.
it might be like a newer car they bought that doesn't have plates. That would be NYPD. We basically take like junk cars and that don't have
Yeah, but
plates.
let me cut you off for a minute, Nicholas. Where I live right now, I've seen the sanitation supervisor come, put the sticker on the car,
Well, yeah,
write the date and stuff like that. Then the person will come out the next day and take the name off and take the stick off.
yeah, that's what, well, one of the things that we've done in other districts that have issues like this, and I know NYPD has a ton of limitations with what, like, space for actually hauling the cars away.
Right.
They've removed so many cars off the streets that they don't have many spaces in their lots to house more cars. But what we've done with them are these tag and tow operations, which we'd be happy to do because there's essentially a much quicker turnaround. So when we tag a car, that it goes into this rotational tow system. It gets an ID number, and like you had mentioned, the guys wipe it off. We get there, it's owner claimed, we can't take it. It takes much longer. In these tag and tow operations, it's NYPD and DSMY together, and basically we'll tag it. They have the required, and I forget off the top of my head if it's 4 hours or 6 hours, but we'll go in like the middle of the night, tag it at like 1 a.m. Nobody's around. It hits the 4 hour period. NYPD is already there with the tow trucks, and they just start towing cars.
No,
So
it won't come.
so we can.
How do we get it on that list?
So what you can do is, if you wanted to connect me, Jeremy could connect me with like either like the NCOs in an email, and then they'll connect with our DVO officers, and they'll figure out when they can get the. It really depends a lot more on NYPD when they could get their vendors, because we're a little bit more flexible because we have a little bit more people, and because most of the cars technically don't fall under us a lot of the times. Like, we don't need much equipment as comparison to them. Usually NYPD ends up towing like 15 cars. So they need to make sure they have one or two vendors in place that can handle that. But we've been successful with a lot of other precincts. Some precincts, it might be harder for them to get resources than others, but usually in most of the precincts we've done this, we've at least been able to get like 10, 12 cars off the street in one night, issue like 30 summonses. Like, if they're in a condensed area like that, we're happy to work with them and do it. It's not too much of a thing for us, but if you want to connect us with the NCOs, we can try and get
Well, I will ask Jeremy to do that because, I mean, it's all about partnership. So if you have a process that you can,
Yeah.
that the NCOs, and this has been implemented, why, I guess I'm a little befuddled because I'm like, if you have a process and we have an issue, why isn't it happening?
Okay, so can we Bernadette get in touch with Jeremy and follow up
Yeah,
on this, and then we can go to the process? Because I'm sure
yeah, we can
Roger have
certainly
some
connect. We can
questions
connect
that
our
he want to ask.
DVO. Usually I do this with like elected officials when we go on walkthroughs and spots, and they'll connect me with the NCOs, and then I'll put them in contact with our derelict vehicle officers, and they'll just do it together, and then we'll figure out a date. Sometimes it's a month away. Sometimes they're like, hey, we got these vehicles right now. It really depends a lot on when their vendors could do it, because the abandoned vehicles has been like almost like another epidemic in the city.
Yes,
It's
Oh, so
crazy.
so
yes.
Okay,
San-
thank.
and the NYPD picks them up.
Yeah, basically, and we'll both be writing summonses. We're there at the same time. So it's worked really well. It's all, if you look at our Twitter, you'll see some of our Twitter and NYPD tweets where we've done the operations. Recently, one I could remember in September was in Jamaica, Queens. We did one, and that was really successful. I think we got like 25 cars or something like that
Oh,
in one
That's
night. Yeah, it's a lot.
that's a
It's a lot.
lot.
I'm not.
So
I would go
Okay.
for one or two and be happy.
yeah,
All right, so I'm gonna move
so
on
we
to
can at least try.
Roger.
I mean, we can make the connection and they can take it from there.
Okay, Roger,
Thank you.
the floor is open to you.
Well, I just had a concern. I know a lot of the bike lanes are new in our neighborhood. It used to be the bike lanes were uh, between the parked cars and the traffic, but now there's some areas where we have the bike lanes are protected bike lanes.
Mhm.
When it snows in our area, the protected bike lanes that are between the sidewalk and the parked cars, it's just lines that are drawn, so it's not as much of a obstructions for plowing snow. But do we need other types of snow removal equipment for those roads? Has that been thought about?
Yeah, I think last year there was about 30 plus new pieces of equipment that was funded for specifically for bike lanes and protected bike lanes. We took a very much different approach this last year. We had less equipment, but there was a big focus because DOT had put a lot of funding into a lot of protected bike lanes throughout the city, and they wanted to make it more of a focus. So there was less of a time of a turnaround for the bike lanes. It used to be like we would do our routes and they would get in with the pedestrian infrastructure, which happened afterwards. And now we have equipment that we could run pretty much simultaneously to the other roadway clearing that's clearing the bike lane. So there should be a much a much faster turnaround to clear out those bike lanes than there has been in years past. But if there are specific locations that you think are, you want me to flag for snow operations, just to kind of be like, hey, could you keep your eye on that? I'm happy to do that. But it should be much better than in years past because we've gotten more equipment for that.
Okay. And the other thing was the trash removal. I know you have like now working with the Parks Department where they need help removing trash, and sanitation has been coming in and helping parks because they don't have as much funding, as much manpower. Were there any parks in particular in District 11 that they had looked at?
I'm not aware of that. I know we help parks in a lot of I mean, they help us during snow too. We've borrowed their equipment.
Oh, no,
We
this wasn't for snow; it was for trash.
we Yeah, we help them in areas where we can. I know a lot of the Manhattan parks generate so much waste that they can't manage, and we'll pick it up from certain locations. I don't know this off the top of my head. I would have to check, but I could find out from the borough what parks we've been doing that in 11.
Because I think there was like
If
the
you
March
know of
meeting,
anything,
Bronx Park East, I think had some problems with trash in the past.
yeah, I can speak with one of the deputy chiefs and see if he knows of any that we've been assisting with and let you know.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And I know we had one question about collections of We're talking sanitation. So here we are talking about garbage picked up
Mhm,
during days when it's holidays.
mhm.
Okay, so if a street um collection is on Thursdays, Thanksgiving,
Turned it off, sneaking it out.
all right, how do you go ahead with the garbage? Because there's no garbage pickup, it says on Thanksgiving Day. But people are confused because they always say that it is said that it does not. You're supposed to still put it out in the evening and they will come around later and collect it. Is there such a thing? Because I didn't see it happen.
Yeah, so generally, I could pull up actually the exact language from the Thanksgiving because it's generally the same that we use for most holidays. Recycling is generally always suspended if that's your recycling day. So if you're picking up, if the holiday falls on a Thursday and your recycling day is a Thursday, you do not put out your recycling. Now your trash, they will generally say put out that holiday night, not Wednesday. So if it's a Thursday holiday, don't put it out Wednesday for Thursday, put it out Thursday for Friday. But you should expect that there will be some delays in as we collect the backlog from that day.
But the homeowners wouldn't get a ticket if they're sitting there Friday morning.
No, no, they won't.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you so much. Any other questions? I
I
know
have,
we,
I have one,
okay.
I have a quick question with regards to the smaller streets. In Van Nest, we have, and I know over the past few years, they've used harnesses to go down the smaller streets. Has that been improved or is that still status quo?
Are you talking like the Holster trucks?
Yes, yes. I mean, the streets are very small, so
Yeah, we
they need a different, the regular ones, they
yeah,
can't go down.
yeah, we have Holster routes in a lot, and not every, I wouldn't say every district, but there's a lot of narrow streets in the city. And we use the Holster trucks.
Okay.
You might have seen in October is sometimes, generally in October and September, you'll see like trucks driving down the street with the snow plows on them, trying
Yes.
to make sure that we still fit down every street, with open restaurants and everything coming in with all the new streetscape changes. We graduated, a lot of new sanitation workers throughout the past year. Want to make sure they know the routes, that all the trucks fit down the routes, that when it does snow, there's no hiccups. So pretty much status quo from the past few years. The Holsters will still continue to handle those smaller streets.
All
All right,
right.
thank
Thank
you.
you. We have Roxanne with her hand up. Go ahead, Roxanne.
One question. Good night. I have to go back to.
Yeah, Roxanne has her hand up. Roxanne, she had her hand up.
Hi, thank you. I appreciate that. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I just like to say, as I'm with the Friends of Pelham Parkway group, and I just like to say, I do so many 311s. I could be rich if I was paid for the 311s. And I could say DSNY is one of the only agency I can say that actually not only responds to 311s, but actually fulfills the conditions. So that's my opinion. But based on all the 311s I did, DSNYC is one of the best agencies with 311s. I'd like to mention we got alternate side parking, Palm Parkway North. It's done pretty well. My only issue is that Parks Department does not clean the gutters or the catch basin, and since they are managing that parkland, they're considered the property owner, the city, and they're responsible for doing cleaning the catch basin. So my question to Mr. Nick, I forgot the last name, can't pronounce it, but what can be done to have Parks Department tell, I know you can't ticket them to be responsible for maintaining the catch basin, because when we had the flooding with Ida, Pelham Parkway North was flooded. Cars were damaged with the flooding. So it's very important those catch basins are not clogged with trash. Not your fault, because Parks is not maintaining the catch basin since it's within their property lines. My second question, please, is trash cans. I have to say that I was surprised to see Sanitation empty out the trash cans on the Greenway, Pelham Parkway. Surprisingly, very happy about it. I wish you would have done that in the summer. because people don't realize Powell Parkway is a greenway, and greenways are not given the same amenities like a full-scale park. So Parks Department, and we're lucky they empty out the trash can twice a week, but due to my efforts with lots of complaints, sometimes they do it 4 times a week, but I have to make lots of complaints to do so.
Mhm.
And so what can be done? So I would like to thank you for that. And my last question is businesses, especially on White Plains Road. My suggestion, can the sanitation recommend to the council to mandate businesses near trash cans to adopt a basket? Because I find it very disgusting how our local business, not all, they profit off the community, they make lots of money, yet they don't they refuse to adopt a basket, but lots of the trash in that basket is from their store, whether it's a coffee shop, or it's a stationery store, or it's a eat-in restaurant, or out takeout food. So I feel like sanitation should mandate any store that's near the vicinity of a basket to adopt it mandatory, because I feel like otherwise we have overfilled trash cans with their trash, because people go in, they go out, and they throw the trash, thankfully, in the basket, but then it overfills. Those are my 3 questions, please.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, so we can certainly do adopt a basket outreach on White Plains Road. Unfortunately, it's not mandated for them to buy. I really wish it was, if you had a corner business with a basket, that they had to adopt it. But we do outreach pretty much throughout the year, a big push in the spring and summer to increase our adopt a basket participants. We'd be happy to go out there and do some along White Plains Road, see if we could get a few people involved. Sometimes we found, you could go back a couple times and we could get them in, as opposed to where if you've gone once and they seem like they really don't want to do it. Sometimes on the second time or third time, we could convince them to do it. And we send officers around too to do that as well from the district. So we can definitely do that to see if people would be interested in adopting. The catch basins, when there was a huge flooding issues, like I can't remember if that was like 2 years ago when the subways were flooding. There were crazy viral videos of like 6 feet of water in the subways. We actually have a plan where us and DEP work together, where we've cleared off a lot of what's up top debris on the catch basins in specific areas that they've highlighted as like high threat areas for flooding. And then they handle a lot of these areas underneath, because a lot of times the issue is it's clogged, not so much it's covered. But I can certainly, if you can let me know, like which catch basins are problematic, I can definitely flag those, because we have been doing more work in the past year or two around clearing these catch basins, because that was a big mayoral priority when we had all the flooding. And then in terms of the baskets on the greenway, generally, if they're parks baskets, the Parks Department will generally service them, and it sounds like that they have been servicing them. If it's possible, I don't know, a lot of these greenways, we have these in Crown Heights too, like really long stretches of greenways with parks baskets on them. Generally, Parks is responsible for them and services them. So I'm not sure how we can step in to provide more service, but that might be like a funding thing for Parks to increase their service of those baskets.
I agree, but I
Okay.
actually saw sanitation empty out parks trash cans recently, which was
Okay,
great.
so let me see if we have been servicing them on some sort of frequency, or if that was like a favor they asked us to do. I can check in and see if we've been adding them to routes or something like that.
All right,
And I'm
thank
sorry.
you so much.
And I'm sorry, one last to follow up regarding the cash base. I did, I'm not going to say, but it's surprising 301 does work. And if it doesn't, you could call your council member and they follow up on it. I don't, committee board does it, but council member does. And with the catch basins, I did 311s and some were not addressed, and I sent it to my elected. And the DP contacted me, and they did send someone out to clean, but I don't feel like every time it gets constantly clogged, because Parks Department doesn't feel like it should clean outside the greenway. It feels like the sidewalk or the roads, it's someone else's responsible, but no one else cleans the sidewalks or the roads,
Yeah.
and it goes into a catch basin. So I feel like it's very time consuming because we have so many catch basins in Pelham Park North. For me to continue doing 3-on-1s, I was hoping, but I can flag the most troublesome areas that tend to be clogged, because I know they're clogged because when it rains, and it did rain recently, you could see
Yeah.
the puddles. All
Yeah.
right, thank you so much. I
Thank you so
appreciate it.
much, Roxanne. We have Diana Finch with her hands up.
Yes, thank you. So I have several questions. Most have to do with the Bronx Park East area between like Pelham Parkway North and Allerton, a little north of Allerton. This summer we had the Department of Public Health come and survey the rat situation, and they advised some apartment supers on what to do, and they surveyed and brought their inspectors in and issued letters of warning and cleaned up an abandoned construction site. So that was great. But we did notice that throughout the area, there are open trash cans. Like some buildings have them in their parking lots or just next to the building. And it makes such a huge difference. One building switched over to covered cans and it completely eliminated the rats. So going forward, we just wanted to know, does sanitation get involved with supervising how people are setting out their trash, or is it all still just the Department of Health and because of the rat situation that we follow
Well, I
up
mean,
with it?
Department of Health is the lead agency, but we definitely um, monitor how people set out their trash. That falls under our purview, whether
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
the
this isn't
timing
necessarily trash being set out for the
or
day
how
of
it's
pickup.
stored.
It's just that they have open trash cans in their parking lots all the time. And then they come and bag it up every other day or so. But the rest of the time, they're just sitting there open, filling with food trash.
What's the location? I know I have the general location, but do you have any addresses in
Well,
like
the
specifically that I can have someone inspect?
the parking lots along Olinville Avenue between like Thwaites and Allerton. There's several parking lots that have that problem.
Olinville between Thwaites and
All the way up to Allerton. There are several parking lots along, that accompany buildings. And they become a big location for rats to flourish in. Then the fines for litter on the sidewalks, some of the building owners and supers have asked me, they feel that they're sometimes fined in a very arbitrary way. They've cleaned and a piece of trash blows into their area, and then someone comes along and they get a ticket. Is there a way that they can appeal these, or like
you
what are the
can, yeah, I
rules?
mean,
Like if they
yeah, I
feel
mean,
it's a little bit arbitrary and they shouldn't.
yeah, they should, you can appeal the tickets through oath.
Through
Once the
oath,
summons, yeah, through oath.
right?
Oath is the adjudicatory agency for any like ECB summonses that we write or NYPD writes, or I know it's during the for residents it's between 8 and 9 and 6 to 7 that they generally have to keep those areas clean for those types of tickets. We can't issue those summonses outside of those 2 hours for like a dirty sidewalk. Um, so if they do have a building super who sometimes they don't know that and they come out at 11 o'clock and they are sweeping, but the guy's already been there at 8:30 to inspect. Sometimes just letting them know, hey, if you can, between 8 and 9 and 6 to 7 is when we can write those summonses and generally when we're inspecting. So sometimes that helps to mitigate those issues. And I know it sucks when a piece of paper or a few stuff from down the road comes onto your property or neighbors in other buildings litter in front of your property. Unfortunately, our inspectors, when they come, if they see a scatter amount of litter on the curb line or on the sidewalk, they can issue a summons for that. They are instructed to use discretion, but you know, we know that a summons can be, oh, did I lose? Oh, wait, did I lose? Oh, wait, am I still here? Can you hear me?
We can hear you, can't see
Oh,
you.
okay. Now I'm frozen, of course. And they are instructed to use discretion, but sometimes, you know, if they see a summonsable offense, if they can't speak to somebody, you know, they might issue for that. So
Okay.
Okay, I
And
hope
then,
we're not losing Nicholas because you disappear from us again, and that's how it happened the first time.
I know I'm still connected to the internet, which is
right, we
good,
can
but
still
now
hear you.
We
my
just don't
camera's
see your
frozen. So
video. Okay, at least we can hear you. We're coming to the top
maybe
of
if
the
I,
8 o'clock hour,
Oh, wait, I
and
just have
there
one
we
more
go.
question,
go
to
right
follow
ahead,
on
Diana.
from what Roger had said about Bronx Park East. Um, all along Bronx Park East, that's the Parks Department's responsibility to take care of the trash cans along the sidewalk. But unfortunately, because of the way the parking hides the sidewalk there, it's also a source of dumping, construction materials, paint, everything really. Um, do you help out with the Parks Department? And if residents see stuff dumped, should they be doing a 311 to sanitation, or what should they do? Because we have a few residents who really try to keep an eye out for dumping and excessive trash along Bronx Park East.
Yeah, so we assist, a lot of times parks can handle some of the material that's dumped. If it's too large, they have the superintendent's number and they can give us a call if they need assistance with removing, like if it's, you know, sometimes we know the construction debris could be bags of like concrete. They're not equipped to handle removing stuff like that heavy or that much tonnage of material. If somebody sees some dumping or dump material, yes, call 311, and that'll get over to us to help remove it. If they happen to see a vehicle dumping and they're willing to help, there's the illegal dumping affidavit they can fill out, and they actually get a portion of the summons that we receive back. We're also working, council members have been throughout the city, have been purchasing cameras for illegal dumping. That could be something if you want to contact your city council member about. Might be willing to, the location might qualify if they purchase it. It just, sometimes there's issues with like power source. As long as there's really a light there, we can put a camera on the light.
Hmm.
And that's something that we've had a ton of success throughout the city catching illegal dumpers in the past year or so with some of these council member funded cameras. So if you want to give them a call, see if that's something they'd be willing to do. And you could also call your state electeds. They can use SAM grant funds to purchase cameras as well, which is something that we've done in two assembly members have purchased so far, and we have a senator who also is interested. So just different ways we can use funds. And because illegal dumping has been another, with the abandoned cars, illegal dumping is also another issue we're seeing a lot with construction debris and like materials throughout the city, especially along parks and areas that might not have a lot of foot traffic at night. You could see cars parking there for a second, dumping stuff out and leaving. It's terrible.
And we're also trying to get ready for next summer. There's one area in particular where there's a lot of picnicking on the weekends. And the trash cans that are there are really not adequate to hold the weekend
What's the
stuff.
area? What front?
It's Bronx Park East and Waring, around Waring Avenue,
Okay.
inside the park.
Oh,
But
okay. So then that would
wondering
probably
if
rest
we
of it.
can get some kind of special containers, large ones, to be set out for the weekends, maybe collected each day, the whole container picked up, a container that would be large enough for all the picnickers to dump their trash in, instead of, you know, putting the bags next to the overfilled trash cans, and then they get torn apart during the night and they're a mess in the morning. But would that be something that parks should work with sanitation on, that kind of special heavy duty trash pickup for designated days, like weekends
So
and
if they're, I
holidays.
mean, if they are looking for our assistance with the collection, then yeah, if they're going to be handling the collection internally in the park, then that would just be something that parks would have to purchase as a container like that. We have been working with bids with our Clean Curbs program to like kind of put containers like that out. Um, there was one in Times Square. The Times Square Alliance had purchased them. You can probably Google it and you could see a picture of the container. It's kind of like something you would see more so in front of like a large building that has cans in front. It's almost like
Right.
maybe 12 feet, 10, 12 feet long, and it locks and it opens up. And the staff manages it. So some of the bids are kind of experimenting that on street corners instead of having like all of the business generated trash out early, their guys will take it and put it in these things, or the residential trash, they'll put it there so it's not on their business corridor in the middle of the street, and then we'll collect from there. Especially in areas where they service all the litter baskets, and then they put the bags next to the can. They'll put them in these containers to get them off the street, and they help with the rodents. It might be something that parks would be willing to look into and fund one of these containers. They're really not that expensive. But it's something that they could look at and see if they'd be willing to do in the park for something like this, as opposed to having five overflowing litter baskets,
Right.
at the end of the day.
I mean, we don't have a bid in the area to take care of it, but
But if it's within the parks, then parks could probably take care of it.
right.
If they're going to be handling the waste, it might be something that they could look at and kind of see the model that we're doing, and maybe they'd be willing to do something like that in the park, especially in an area that generates a lot of trash in the summer.
And Times Square is the area that
The
has
Times Square Alliance is the one that
Okay.
was the first one, and they did a big press conference with it. So you could probably find pictures of it online.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Roger, is there anything else? Or I think you have answered the question, and anything else that we need to do, we'll follow up with Jeremy. And moving forward, I think Bernadette gets some more clarification on
Yes, I
her
will send that
issues.
over. I will send that over. I have a few follow-up items here, so I will get to them in the office tomorrow, talk to everyone, send it over to you, the clarification on that, and let you know about, I'm gonna send a few things to the borough with the illegal dumping and the litter basket requests and everything like that. And then we could follow up accordingly in a couple days with a response.
Thank you so much. Thank you for
No
being
problem.
here, and thank you for answering our questions and, bringing us to some clarity.
Yeah,
Feels
happy.
better to understand. So happy holidays. If we don't see you back here before the bunt is out to answer some more
Yes.
questions.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Happy holidays, happy new year. And
Yes,
we'll
Merry
talk
Christmas,
soon.
Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah.
Same to you, Avril. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Enjoy your holidays.
Same to you, Junior, and everyone. It seems like we end the meeting. So, Roger, it seems like they're saying good night.
I think that's it. I think we'll adjourn.
All right, thank you so much. Meeting adjourned. Is anyone with me?
Junior Campbell.
Second you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Everyone, enjoy your holidays. Be safe. And
Thank you so
Be
much.
safe. Have a
Thank you,
good night.
Avril. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Roger. Enjoy
Bye-bye.
your holiday.
Thank
you too. Everybody, Jeremy, and I think
Yes.
everyone is out. Okay, thank you and good night.
Fingers crossed.